So I've came up with a bit of a problem. I wanted to sell my car, and a guy rang me and it sounded very dodgy. In fact, I started to get extremely worried that I was going to get carjacked, and he was going to nick off with the key and all this kind of thing. So this is a really good video for anybody who's got a nice car, that like a WRX or, you know, whatever, an SS Commodore, whatever it is, something that's nice that, you know, people, you know, basically they look on eBay and all that and Gumtree, and they find a car, go around to your place and go and steal it. I just went to a job the other day where the guy lost his BMW, and they seemed to be reasonable people. Said, you know, can we stop here, can we stop there? And then basically when the opportunity arose, the guy and his mate nicked off with this guy's car. So this is a really good trick, and I'm going to actually put this video up after I sell my car, because I don't want anybody else figuring out what I've done previously. But there's plenty of ways that you can do this, and be not sneaky, but, you know, be ingenious about how you do this. Okay, so as we all know that cars these days have transponders. Now, what a transponder is, it's like a swipe card where you swipe on the door and the door opens. Now, these are little transponders that basically go inside the key, and they fit inside here. For example, I've just got a few different keys out, and as you put it into the ignition, it will read the ID off the transponder, compare it to the memory that's in the car, and then obviously if you've got the right key, then you can turn the ignition. So just having a quick look at the different types of keys. So this one was a Citron key. Now, you can normally just pull the shells apart. There are some keys, like OEM keys, original manufacturer's keys, where you can't. This is a good example of the ones that you can't do it. So you can go and get another key cut from a locksmith and ask him not to put the transponder in the actual key head. Now, if we have a look here at this key head, this is for a Toyota, and it is a dot key because it's got the dot just there. And the transponder is actually inbuilt and molded and plastic molded, so you can't get the transponder out of one of these. Or if you have an OEM key, original car key, you're unlikely to be able to get the transponder out. Some you might, some you might not. So that's just a Toyota dot key. Now, here's another example. Silk make aftermarket keys. This was for a 2015 Toyota Corolla using a H chip, and basically right there is where the transponder fits into the key, and you can push something in there to actually pull the transponder out. So if you identify your key, if you've got an aftermarket key, this will work, but you can just push something in there and get it out. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up a Ford key. So again, this is an aftermarket key, it's not a OEM Ford key, and I'll just give you an idea of how this works. So here's an uncut key. This is for a AUBA Falcon, and you take the little transponder like that and you put it inside one of these. So one is for glass, so if you've got a glass transponder, it's longer, and if you've got a carbon transponder, it's one of these. Now, if you do try and push out your transponder, on the Fords, if it doesn't have the blue on the top, so it just sits in there like that. Now, I'm going to get to the secret in a minute, but I just want to give you a bit of a rundown about what I'm talking about so you get a full understanding. And then when you see what I do, you're going to think, oh, yeah, that's pretty ingenious. So basically you just put the wedge in there. So if you do have a blue one, let's try and do this. So it basically fits in like that. Okay, so you push that down and it gets sealed in there. Now, this one does have the hole there. If you had the red one in the top of your Ford car and you try and push it out, you might be able to push it out, or you might actually wreck it. So if you've got a blue one, you're pretty good. Now this one is for most of the new Toyotas, this is the same key as this one. It's just that this one hasn't been pushed in. So again, I'll grab a transponder and we just basically set it like that, and then we push it into the key, into that hole there. Now if you've got a flip remote like that, these ones are really easy to get apart. Just put a screwdriver in, that separates from that, and then once you've got the head off, let's grab a head. So once you've got the head off with the remote, basically you can separate these two pieces in there, and you'll find that the transponder is just sitting in there where you can actually remove it. So here's the thing, most cars, the way they're designed is that as long as you've got a transponder and the key's obviously cut, and you put it into the ignition and you turn the car on, the car will remain on because it's already been accessed. The code has already been read and compared with what stores in, you know, BEM, whatever, in the main computer of the car. So once that happens, you can leave the car running, or you can turn it off, and a lot of the time the cars are made a bit redundant, so you still get an opportunity if you don't have a transponder. Now I'm going to give you an example of this. So this is the key card for my car, and I've removed the transponder out of that. So let me show you. Okay, so here we have a typical BA car. Now I'm going to put the key in. You can lock and unlock the central locking. So what happens is you turn the car on, and the transponder hand over there, the light is going to flash because there is no transponder in this key. So basically, essentially, it's just a key, and it's not reading the transponder around the transponder ring. Now, what I thought is, I was a bit taken back by this person, and I did the tradesman band-aid. So basically what I did is here, I got a little bit of tissue paper and I took the transponder out of the actual out of the key here itself, and I'll show you what I did. So just using a bit of tissue paper or whatever, just fold it up a little bit, whatever, put your transponder in the tissue paper, and then use another finger that you don't normally use. Yeah, I normally use my index finger, pressing and all that. So I chose to use this finger, and what I've done is I put the transponder there, I put that there, and I went and got some, this is called a tradesman's band-aid, if you don't know. And what I did is I wrapped this around my finger. You can use a real band-aid or whatever you want, but I use the M3 tape because it's 100-mile-an-hour tape. It's fantastic electrical tape. And what I've done is I put the transponder inside there. So let's go to the car now and let's try and start the car. I'm going to use my other hand, and I'm going to use this hand, and we're going to start the car. Alrighty, so we're back in the car. So let's just try and start the car the way it is. Take it out of gear and we'll start it. So the transponder light goes on, no problems. Okay, nothing happens. It won't turn on at all. You can hear it clicking on the relay. But let's take the key out. Now let's put the key back in, and this time I'm going to put my finger near the ignition and I'm going to start the car. Now I've removed my hand, so the car will run just fine the way it is, so you can take it for a test drive. Now the other thing you want to do when you do sell your car and you're a bit worried about it is make sure you only put a small amount of fuel in the car. And the reason why is that if you're going to get carjacked and they're going to steal your car, they're going to need to put fuel in there. Now most of the time people will turn the car off to put fuel in it, and if there's another person around and you try and fill up your car, the stolen car, people are going to get a little bit worried of why the car's still running and you're filling it up, because that's not normal behavior. So let's have a look again. So I've got the transponder on my finger, Actually, it's the right finger to give all the crooks the finger, isn't it? So let's turn off the car. Now let's pull the key out. Now the light is just gone on the dash, it's just flashed. So if I go to try and start the car again, it's not going to work. But here's the thing, let's try it anyhow. Oh, actually it did, sorry. It will start for a little bit because it thinks it's got a broken transponder. But if I quickly turn the car on using my finger, right, I turn the car on, no problems, the car's running. Perfect. Now I'm going to turn the car off with my other hand, and I'm going to take the key out, and then I'm going to turn it back on. And the car's going to turn back on, and it's going to continue to run. And the reason why it's going to continue to run is because the code is still in the memory of the BEM. Now most cars will do exactly the same thing, like the Subarus. If you leave the car running and you take the seatbelt off, it's going to go into anti-carjack mode. But here's the thing. Now let's say that I rocked up, I showed the person the car, and you know, I've left it running and he's gone towards the key, or let's say that I'm a bit sketchy about what this guy's going to do. All I need to do is turn the car off, but let's say he goes, no, turn it back on, turn it back on. Okay, you turn it back on, no problems, light goes out, car runs. But as soon as you leave it past the time of where the transponder code is registered to the computer, the car will not run. So let's do that. So let's just take it out. Now as soon as this light starts flashing like it has, so it's about 10 seconds or roughly, if I put the key in there now and then try to turn the car on, it'll run for a bit and then stop like that. And then obviously we can see the transponder light is going on. So if you have a look, by me using my finger, and it just looks like I've hurt my finger, I can go up to the car, take the key out obviously, and start again, and just turn it on as normal. Like your transponder, your finger can be a little bit away. It doesn't have to be bang on there, it can be a little bit away. So I can just do that just like normally. Let's say I've got a sore hand, take the car out, wait till the transponder light flashes so we know that it's not going to start. Now I'm just going to start it normally, just like I normally would. And that's it, the light goes out. Now you can do this with pretty much every kind of car. Not guaranteed because I don't know every car, but this is an extremely good way of protecting yourself without anybody knowing. Like if he, you know, this morning, like if he produced the knife or produced a firearm or something like that, most people aren't going to, you know, they'll just like, you know, just turn around and just say, yeah, take the car, and that's it. So it's gone past the time. So even if they got the car and he went to, you know, he went to start it again, like went out and got fuel, the car's just going to sit at a service station. Now the other thing that I also did is I made sure that I brought two phones. The phone that I'm filming on right now, and I turned it on silent mode, so if anybody rang me on there, it wouldn't alert the other person, like the potential buyer that was buying my car, which I really thought he was going to carjack me. And it's just really, really sketchy. You know, I'm old, I've seen a few things in my life. So what I did is I ended up putting the phone, turning it on silent mode, and then putting it in the car somewhere, and I tested it with my other personal phone to make sure that it would ring, and I just flipped it down. So if your car did get carjacked, then the police can then triangulate the SIM card, and they're roughly about 5 meters is their triangulation between 3 cell towers. They can literally work out where it is. He might have taken the other phone off me, so I made sure that I didn't really have any personal information in the other phone. I'll just go back to the van. So by having two phones, I can leave one in the car if the car did get hijacked. So he would have a range of about 60 kilometers because that's about all the fuel that there was actually in there. So just getting back to that, so he had a range of about 60 kilometers that he could drive, and if he put his foot down, that fuel economy would even go even lower. So I knew that, one, it's unlikely that he's going to be able to, like, he even shook my hand, and he didn't, say anything. But if they say anything, you just say, oh, I hurt my finger or whatever, and I didn't have a Band-Aid, or put a Band-Aid, or, you could disguise a transponder, pretty much any way that you want. Like, you could have kept it in your pocket. Let's say you got carjacked, you could leave the key in the ignition and then just quickly flick the transponder or drop it on the ground. And these things are so hard to find. If you're on a bitumen road, you're not going to see it. Or just chuck it. That's it. The car's done. He might be able to drive down the road 10 kilometres, 15 kilometres, whatever. But all you need to do is call the police and say, look, my car's just been carjacked. It's got a range of 40 kilometres, 50 kilometres, whatever it is, and explain to the police what you've done, and also let them know that you've also put a phone in the car on silent mode, and this is the phone number of it. And it's always good to write down the IMEI as well, because if they did find the actual phone and they pulled the SIM card out of it, just having the phone on and just with no SIM card, it still pings the tower anyhow. So that's another good way. If you know the IMEI of the phone, there is, I think, *#06#. You can write down the IMEI and you can give that to the police. So that's the serial number of the actual phone that actually registers on the network. So that's another good little trick. So it acts as like a little, if you don't have a tracker, you can use your phone. Like if he wanted to steal my car, he would have said, give me your wallet. So I particularly didn't bring my wallet. I just bring a key card, my driver's license, and $30. And if he had taken my phone, that would have been fine. I would have patted on my legs and gone, well, I don't have my wallet. I didn't bring my wallet. Oh, what's in your top pocket? Oh, $30. So, just recapping, you can go to most locksmiths or even shoe repairers and go and get a transponder copied or programmed, depending on the car that you've got, and just have that available. Like I deliberately didn't bring rego papers for that reason as well. Maybe it forced me to sign something. So I didn't have paper, I didn't have rego papers, I didn't have RWC. I basically just have my driver's license in case I get pulled up by police and police want to know who I am. Who knows, weird things happen. And the key and the magic thing that saved the day, well, he was actually okay, but it didn't look that good to me, especially over the phone and all the phone calls, and all of this stuff was going on, and your gut tells you when you think things dodgy, and that would have saved my car. Just moving the transponder. So to get a transponder copied, it could be $40, it could be $50, but it's a well worth investment. You can get the key cut if you wanted to. If you've only got one key, get another key cut, or give 3 keys, doesn't really matter if the deal does go ahead. And the other thing that you do is I met at a place where I know that would have some cameras, and that was it. I chose a shop like Meet at McDonald's, whatever the case may be, and I parked right in front of the shop, because the likelihood is that there's going to be a camera facing the front door of that shop. So he actually parked a little bit down in the car park where everything was kind of vacant, and I was just like, oh shit, this is on. I'm rocking up there and he's already there, and he's there early, and I'm like, you've just parked so far away from the front door, this is not going to end well. So what I did is I deliberately didn't look at him, and I drove straight to the front door of that shop, parked there, left the car running, got out of the car, and he dawdled a bit too, to get from where he was to where I was. He knew the colour of the car, he knew what it was, blah blah blah. So I was very suspicious about the whole situation. And it's not the first time. There was another guy that I did a job for, this is about a month and a half ago, where they came round, and it was a motorbike. They stole a motorbike. Police were called. They did an armed robbery in it, on the bike as well. They did an armed robbery using the bike as a getaway. So that's the thing, you've got to be aware. I'm a locksmith, obviously, so I come across these situations where people are being ripped off, or I'm there to change the keys on the house, or and then they tell you, oh, my car's been stolen. Actually, there's another one. Actually, this was only probably about 3 weeks ago. They broke into the house, went on the kitchen table at night time where they're asleep to go and steal this Commodore, you know, $60,000 Commodore. So it does happen all the time, but this is just one of those life hacks that you can do. It's going to cost you maybe $50 to get a transponder and a key card, and just tell the person, don't put the transponder in the key. That's it. You don't have to put the transponder in the key and seal it up. Just ask them for the transponder itself and the key, and you're done. So they were the things that I had to do today to ensure that I didn't lose my car. Generally speaking, you can tell people over the phone, you know, and there was a few things that just not right, really just not right, and I felt the person was lying to me on multiple occasions. So look, I hope this helps, and thanks for watching.